Welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on their journey toward publication. I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Christina Catane, and I write biblical fiction.
I'm Rhonda Hagerman, and I write fiction and nonfiction.
Awesome. Well, I see we already have a very active chattery chat. Jen, where are these people chatting? Where can they find the chat if people who are listening want to join us?
You can chat on our Facebook page, but we encourage you to head on over to our YouTube page. I put the link in our Facebook comments because this is where all the action's happening. Good morning, Piper. Good to see you. Good morning, Teresa. Good morning, Painted Vessels. This is my new friend. I was just telling the ladies about. We'll get to that later.
Awesome. I love it when we make new friends.
Shell says, cheers to coffee. Yeah. You're my girl, Shell. I got mine.
And I got my limoncello LaCroix.
She's just thinking about lemons while she sips fizzy water.
You guys go eat your potatoes, and I'm going to drink my limoncello LaCroix.
Afternoon, Maria.
Oh, very nice, Jen. Good try.
Afternoon.
Oh, no,
good afternoon, Maria.
Oh, that's awesome. Is your last name Freitag, Gina? Because I have a Fry Gruber. Yes. Freitag means Friday. Is her name really Gina Friday? What a great name! If your name is Gina Friday.
And do you go by Gina Renee or just Gina? Because we will call you out whenever possible.
Yeah,
the rest of the ladies know that. Gigi, hello everyone. Happy Friday!
Yay!
Did you guys see our graphic yesterday? That was straight up from a screenshot from our friend Teresa. So
yeah, we got all kinds of chatty chats. So anyway, our chatters are Maria says I saw nothing like that, but good effort, Jen. Poor Jen.
We really have to hear Maria speak now.
Yeah, someday we're gonna get her call in or something.
Yep.
Gina.
Right.
Yeah, she goes by Gina.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so hopefully I'll remember, but you'll be Painted Vessels every time I peek over there because my brain can't keep it all straight. But anyway, that's what you get when I'm the host. So welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. And today we're going to start, like we always do, going around our virtual table to ask our hosts, what's up? What's up with you, Rhonda? You're quiet.
I'm sorry, Maria is just really funny in the chat today. I didn't mean to laugh over that. Just real quick, and then
no, very friendly reminder. I was trying to decide if I should say anything.
Very friendly reminder that I'm a northerner, so I don't sound like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins.
Be honest, does he sound like anybody else in England?
I think she was calling me Dick Van Dyke.
No, which so is totally she's probably like more closer to a Scottish accent. Like you can, there's like 6 different regions of England or Great Britain, and they all have a different accent.
And I've mastered them all.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, we could tell.
Just one sweeping accent that covers them all. It's like a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Just kind of.
Hear my French accent.
It's a mashup.
Let Rhonda give her what's up.
Oh, yeah, Rhonda.
Oh,
I got your back, Rhonda.
Thank you. I appreciate it. What's up with me is Mom and I have been working steady on our book, and we're making so much progress, and it's going to be out before anybody knows it, and super excited about that. And I got a lead on a new Shelling Beach today, so that's where I'll be heading as soon as we're done.
Well, you can't publicly declare it, or it won't be a good Shelling Beach anymore.
No.
So are you going to post your haul? Where do you post? Don't you have like an Instagram that has beautiful seashell pictures or something? Where do you post? Yeah. Like, where can people find these beautiful pictures that you take?
It's under Rhonda_G_Hagerman on Instagram. And the G stands for genealogy because that's my middle name.
Oh, it should stand for great aesthetic because that's what you have going on, girl. That page is so beautiful. If you guys want to veg out for 3 minutes and look at beautiful seashell pictures, head over there, right?
Wait till after the podcast.
Yeah. Well, what's up with you, Tina? What are you doing after the podcast? Yeah. Or tell us something else.
Well, in some inexplicable reason, which I really don't want to get into, my book like hit #1 in Christian fantasy again.
Wow!
Like it did it last month, and then it did. If this is going to be a monthly occurrence, I'm not going to complain.
Right.
So, I was being all self-promoting, and I went into this group that I belong to of authors, and I said, "Look,
local Michigan ones, right?"
Yeah, it was
I'm in that group too.
Michigan authors. And I posted a picture of my book with the little thing that says #1 in Christian fantasy. And somebody commented on there and said, Christian fantasy, that's rich.
Now, understanding that you can't really get tone from a text, right?
Well, I just gave it tone.
He probably meant that your book had $5 million. That's probably what he meant.
Yeah, I wish.
Well, so I'm in this group too. And I was kind of ticked when I heard her say that, but I didn't go over there. I just kind of like let it go. Well, it ended up in my newsfeed.
Oh.
Well, that's just God, right? So I noticed that someone else had commented on his comment asking for a clarification.
Yeah.
So and they didn't respond. So I tagged them in it and said, yes, I too would like clarification for your remark. Still waiting. There's so much negativity. Like, and before we went live, Jamie said, oh, did you like make a burner account so you could do it? No, I did it as me. I want the world to know that I was like there asking for my friend. What are you talking about, dude?
Yeah, because it's funny too. We've talked about bad things that kind of happen in the review-osphere that we don't like to come online with because it's kind of negative and you don't want to feel like you're bashing someone just because they gave you a negative comment. But like, we just wish, if you guys remember the old show Designing Women, there was one sister on there. Her name was Julia Sugarbaker. Boy, would she tell everybody off. So we were saying we need to have a Julia Sugarbaker burner account where we could just go say, well, this book, blah, 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 because you want to say everything to defend your girlfriend, but that's not the professional thing to do. So we were kind of fantasizing about being able to lash out secretly, but we would never, would we, ladies?
100% I would. 100%.
Well, we can't now because she just gave it away. They didn't know it was us.
But see, that's the good thing. All of our friends here, whenever they see Julia Sugarbaker, they know it's us. They know we're hot. We're mad.
They'd be like,
they know.
I'm with Julia.
Right. But that led to a conversation in I'm in this avid Christian fiction readers group, and about how Christian fiction has evolved, and like what used to be acceptable is not be acceptable is more acceptable now. Like writing characters with real world problems like alcoholism and this kind of thing. Used to be you couldn't do that in Christian fiction, and so we had this long discussion. It was really a rich discussion about, and I said, yeah, but there is still some pushback. And I shared that comment. It was just
well, if you're not willing to engage and you don't have an answer for isn't there have an answer for what you blah, blah, blah somewhere in the Bible, then, I guess you have no business putting your stuff out there. So good for you for having an answer.
And let's clarify that it was not a negative review. Like, you just walk away from those. If this man had read your work and had a negative comment, that's one thing. All he was doing was blindly saying that's rich. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jennifer's getting out the sword, man.
Julia Sugarbaker is going to be a thing. I'm telling you, we have to do this.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with my what's up next.
We share we got a live chat.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Because I don't want to miss it either.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I missed yours because we were chatting a lot. Maria says, what's up? Other than trying to define my accent in the chat.
Not Dick Van Dyke.
I finished edits for the Now What Nano Challenge to revise my novel in January and February. Also making progress with my hist fic. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Piper says her what's up. Dark Discovery is up for pre-order. Yay!
Wow!
Starting the next book. Thinking about launch plan, which I don't have yet.
We should probably revisit launching again, even though we've covered it before.
My plan is changing too. Like, it's always evolving. Shell says, what's up? Sad to say that February Romance defeated me. Oh, I hear you, girl. And I put it aside, but I've been writing a bunch of reviews.
It's not defeated. I don't think it's defeated, Shell. I think what happened is you just need to let that seed grow and take some roots or something. I mean, you'll probably revisit that story with a renewed vigor and polish it up and publish it someday. It has not defeated you, girl.
I thought for so long.
Can I just make a comment about that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was rewatching our episode 11, which is our original Plotting versus Pantsing episode. Long ago. Oh, we were such children back then. But anyway, Jennifer made a comment when she was talking about her work in progress, which was book 3. And guess where that book is now?
She was getting right about I just had a beta reader, and I've never done beta readers, but I just had a beta reader go through it and loved it. Loved it. So it it's okay. It hasn't defeated you. It's just maybe it's a bump in the road right now, Shell.
Rhonda, I just want to congratulate you on your extremely thorough prep for this week's episode. Like, I would never go to such lengths to be so prepared. I'm completely impressed. Good job.
I can tell you that Gina and I are going to be really good friends because she loves the burner account idea.
I need to be humbled sometimes.
We could share the password with just like Christian Indies. Maybe we could put that on our Patreon. The password to the Julia Sugarbaker account is, and then you can go and tell people it's Julia Sugarbaker if you want. That could be our highest Patreon tier. Do you know what I mean?
We need to collect all the Julia Sugarbaker gifts. And
it is happening. Oh, my word. Remember, I was trying to find, like, what are some gifts that I can use for our pages? Julia Sugarbaker.
Because again, it's just when people are being mean, right? Like, we don't care if we get a bad review. We don't care if someone doesn't like our taste in our work. But if you're going to be mean to my friend, well, out's going to come the wagging head and the shaking finger, because that's just what happens. So
yeah, we don't care if we get a bad review.
We totally take those in stride. We're so mature.
I have 2 4-star reviews, and the one said, there are significant flaws in world building. I was like, what does that mean? They didn't explain it. Next 2 reviews, wonderful world building. What's a 4-star?
Teresa says her kidlets are going back to school for 4 days a week, so she'll have more time to devote to writing. That's wonderful. Reclaiming the time. Yep. All right. So now I'll do my what's up. Today I have a definition for everyone, because as I was writing my word sprint, I really wanted to know, like, if porcine is the word for like a hog, you know what I mean? So like a porcine animal. What is the word for deer? If you guys know it without Googling, I'll be very impressed. Well, you don't. So it's elephine. Can you believe it? Like elephant?
What?
Which anyway, it makes an appearance in my word sprint, which you guys will hear later. So there's a teaser to stick around to the end of the episode. See how I used elephine in our writing sprint. But I wanted to say it, and it was like, you're on a timer and everything. So it was just really fun to quickly jump over and Google real quick. What was that? Because I was like, first of all, how do I even search for this? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So it was like, porcine is pig, what is deer? And thankfully the Sphinx or whatever unlocked and gave me the answer that I was looking for in time. And I finished with like 14 minutes and whatever. So
that's awesome.
That's my what's up. And then we got, that's it, right? Or wait, was there one more to hear? Yes. Jen's, because Jen's got a good what's up for us.
Okay. So my what's up is that I have been, so I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. We've talked about this. I know I need to be over there because that's where all of my readers are. But so I have to go on for certain things. And every time I've been going on, there have been like posts from one particular group that I'm a member of, and it's the Christian Writers Support Group. And so I just kind of been going over there and checking things out, and there's been a lot of activity. And I came across this picture popped up in my news feed, and I have to share it because Rhonda, you are going to love this as much as I do.
I got to see.
Why is it not coming up? Here we go.
Wow. Will you look at that?
This is Gina, Painted Vessels. This is Gina's
Okay, I got to describe what I am seeing. I am seeing
wow.
my brain is so happy looking at this. The colored Post-it notes, like you just know plot points are designated, you know. It looks like the periodic table of elements.
Yeah.
And she posted it because she asked, does anyone else do this? And I was like, oh, girl. So then we started talking back and forth about how mine are like fold up. I said, oh, you need to come and chat in the chat with us because this is what we're talking about this week. And then here she is. So welcome, Gina. We really appreciate you coming here.
You're famous.
Thanks for letting me hear that.
I've got a question. How often does she have to check those to make sure her friends didn't come in and help?
We're going to talk about that too. All right, let's just get into that.
Let's just do it.
We're going to talk about how we have all changed. And so, well, do you want to do the transition or whatever?
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead. We're already there.
Whatever. Okay. So, thanks for tuning in and listening. No, just kidding. Okay. So, this week we're talking about plotting versus pantsing. And we're not saying plotting, PLODDING, which is what I am continually doing through the edits of my novel. We are saying plotting, PLOTTING. ing, plotting versus pantsing, which I guess you could say is flying by the seat of your pants. Now, I guess anybody with reasonable faculties and vision would see that Jen and Gina have plotted their novels, and that is the output there, those big boards, which we'll talk about. But then you can fly by the seat of your pants, which means you do no plotting whatsoever. Most people fall on a spectrum. That is what we are discussing today.
100%. Because if you even look at our chat right now, when I show the picture, Maria said, wow, that is amazing. #writer goals. But Piper said, oh my goodness, my brain would melt. LOL.
So Rhonda, would you like to speak to individualization before we go any farther? Because I know that's like your number 3. So do you want to just tell people to do it their way? Like, go for it, Rhonda. Say how you feel about this.
Whatever is going to give you success, do it that way. And don't quit experimenting until you find what works for you.
Yes, that's very important.
Don't fail until you quit trying.
No, that's good. I need to write that down.
So Jennifer, did you always do isolation boosts? Now, see, if you read my newsletter, you know the answer. So what's the answer, Jen?
Yes. If you haven't read the newsletter, you need to head on over to our website, christianindiewriters.net, and read it, because it's what we also put on for each of our podcasts. But it was quite a joy to read this week's newsletter, how Jamie waxes poetical about my system here. But no, I wasn't always a plotter. When I decided, like, I'd always dreamed of writing. I had all these ideas, but then I was working, and then I got married, and then I had kids, and I finally got to a point where it's like, I'm doing it. I'm finally going to do it. And so I guess I didn't do research. I didn't see what other people, I didn't even know there were Facebook groups. I just sat down and started writing.
Sure.
And 130,000 words in, and nowhere near the end, I stopped. I'm like, I got to figure this out. I'm doing something wrong. It became like this just big episodic, like Little House on the Prairie. Here's the next episode. Every chapter was the next episode of what was happening. There was really
let's talk about that for just a second, because you happen to be watching a very inspirational romantic series, and so it's possible that you were recreating your version of what you were just absorbing, right? Like you were just vomiting out what you admired. You admired that.
Yes, because it was and it was based on an author's novels that I admire. And so it's very possible. It also is possible that I just didn't understand story structure.
Sure.
Growing up, I took all kinds of writing classes, but none of them focus on novel writing, and it is a whole nother thing. And so it's the same novel. The one I'm talking about now is the same one that Rhonda brought up earlier, that is now finally getting ready for publication, because it was so bad. It took me so long to fix it.
Which is so funny, because when we met, I couldn't even believe anybody could write 130,000 words. That's how different we are, right, Rhonda? You're shaking your head, yes?
Yeah.
Well, and I have to say, you wrote 2 books in between. Like, you haven't been working on that book this whole time.
Yes, I stopped. So that's encouragement for Shell as well, is that it's okay to walk away from it.
Sure, it is. Yeah.
Don't just throw it away. You still can salvage that book. It just doesn't have to be right now. So yes, I wrote 2 other books. I would have walked away from this one if I hadn't written those 2 other books and sandwiched this one in the middle of the series. So I had to get this one out. But so I did a bunch of research, and I learned about story structure, and it made total sense to me, because every movie you watch, every book you read follows a story structure. Even if a person pantses it, there's something in them that understands that you have to have, like, what I call disasters, and you have to have moments of pull and take. But for me, I need to know when does that happen. I need to have a plan. And so I did not create this system, though I've kind of become known for it. But I found it somewhere online. I'm like, that's a great idea. So we were getting ready for our very first writing retreat, and I brought this with me and a bunch of Post-it notes. And I'll never forget, when we were getting ready to leave, you guys were laughing at me. We were trying to fit it into the back of Jamie's car with our luggage and everything. And I'm like, no, I got to take this. And then when I got there, when it was time for us to sprint, I literally put it up in front of me, blocking everything, including these ladies, out, so that I was just staring at it. Like, I would see, I would see what I had to do, and it kind of was motivational for me. So
it focused you, right? It focused your efforts.
Yes,
and hence the name Isolation Booth.
Yeah, that's what we call it. Yes.
Yeah, Jennifer's so shy. I'm sure that helped too.
What did you say?
You're so shy that being behind the cubicle just helped.
That's how she kept herself from talking the whole time.
Yeah. It's not really blocking you guys out. It was blocking me from you so that I didn't sabotage all of us because
my goodness.
100%.
Those were the days. Man, I can't wait till we can get together again, do something like that.
So the way this works for a story structure, for a 3-act structure, this is the first act. The big part is the middle because the second act is your biggest part of your book, and then this is my third act. And at the bottom, it's kind of hard to see. At the bottom of this, you'll see each of my disasters are down here. Other people call them plot points.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Jen, don't you have, like, you're a romance writer. So anyone who writes romance or just wants kind of a general handle on plotting, you did a really good plotting sheet. Is that a freebie for your site? Where do they go to
for
get
us?
It's
if
for
you
us.
go to christianindywriters.net and you sign up for our newsletter, which will be the number one thing on our homepage, there's a bunch of different things that we offer you, but one of the things is it's a real quick cheat sheet for plotting out, and so that
brand new,
it absolutely explains this, and so that works for me, and I have to do that.
Yeah.
What doesn't work for me though is leaving this to go pick up my kids at the bus stop when they were still public school with all my friends at the house. Because I came in and I didn't notice right away. They were very slick about it. It wasn't for a couple of days when I sat down and I needed it that I saw that Grant is Hallmark hot. Oh, I just ripped that off. I didn't mean to rip that all off. Or that, let's see, what was some of the other ones? Sarah finds out that Grant is Santa Claus. Frosty melts when Christmas Town goes dark. And this is one of my favorites. Grant wins the Mega Millions. This is 1923. I don't think they had the Mega Millions, but
we were helping. We were being so helpful with your plot. Yes.
Yeah, so helpful.
There's shenanigans abound when we're together in real life. So maybe it's a good thing that we've been apart. Maybe. All right. Well, Jennifer, so you would say that you're sort of the evolution of a pantser into sort of a hardcore plotter, wouldn't you say?
100%. I even this week, if you sprint with us at all on Mondays and Wednesdays, I've been not sprinting writing. I've been actually dissecting my old books and reverse plotting, because this is like plotting. I always come at my plots from the character's point of view. Like I already know their motivations. That's inside me. And this is just telling me how I'm getting there. The book I'm working on, it feels like I'm missing that. So I'm actually going back and figuring out where the character arcs peak and what things that happen, because it just came naturally to me. So now I'm going back and I'm reverse engineering it. So because I feel like I need to be even deeper in my plotting as well as for the character arc.
That's a good bonus hint that actually plotting can help you with your editing. Very good. Yep. So, Rhonda, what's your evolution sort of or journey been like so far? How did you start and where are you today?
Well, when I started, I never really wrote much fiction. And so I had a basic outlining for the nonfiction articles and that sort of thing that I had written. And so I kind of had that in my mind, but I have discovered something about myself over the last 10 years or so, that I really just need to be told what to do and then left alone to do it. And my Bujo is my number one tool for that. And a plot outline is the number one tool when I'm writing, because I have what's known as shiny object syndrome. And I can get off track so easily. And if I see what needs to be written, even if I don't want to write the next scene, I know maybe 3 or 4 scenes might be a little bit more interesting for me to write that day. So I'm able to go to that because I know I'm not going to be messing anything up. I might have to add like a hair color or maybe a small detail when I go back through and re-edit. But
do you mind if we pause right there for a second? Because I'm hearing you say need, and I love that you understand that you have needs and you are meeting them. You're not trying to cram yourself into somebody else's system so that you'll produce a book.
Exactly.
And I really appreciate that you are not saying, well, I should have changed what I needed then to then make the system work for me. So I just really appreciate you having enough self-awareness to recognize what you need and then giving that to yourself, I think is a huge gift as an artist, because we're doing art.
Yep.
So
right. Yep. And if I don't meet my needs, who is going to do it for me?
Good for you, girl. Can't count on anyone else.
Great point.
So the big thing that has changed is my writing partner, my mom, and I. She's kind of does the same thing I do as far as plotting goes.
Mhm.
And she had started making these worksheets of her own just for her own personal use.
Mhm.
And I said, why aren't we sharing this with the rest of the world? Because
Yeah,
it's so
for
fantastic.
sure. Mhm.
So since our last episode, we published this, which is a whole workbook for plotting your novel.
Yeah.
But that's not the one I'm using. I'm using a different book.
Okay, so hold on. You already published plot your
novel with this workbook.
Novel.
Okay.
Yes. So the
So
one
what
I'm
is
using
that one?
now
How
is
that
our
one-
second one, which is for cozy mysteries. So that's what I'm using right now.
So
And
it's specifically for a cozy mystery.
yes.
I'm so excited. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Because here's the thing, Rhonda. I am someone who's been privy to read some of your raw stuff. And I can't wait till the world gets to read it. When you're ready for the world to see it, it's going to blow everybody away. So I'm super
It's
excited about
really
this.
Close, really close.
But now they can get your 2 nonfiction How to
Yep.
Do It books. Where?
Yep.
How do they get
They
them?
are on Amazon.
And people
And
love
also,
them. In the
I believe
chat.
there's a link in the newsletter. If not this week,
Yeah.
then last week.
I
All the
believe it
peeps
is
in
in
the chat
the
will tell
newsletter
you.
that went out this morning. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'll go next just because let's talk to Piper here. She took 4 years to write her first book because she didn't know what the ending was going to be. Her second, a novella, she had a general idea of the story and it took 6 months. That's great. Yeah.
Right. And Maria says, I'm definitely a plotter, fairly full outline, but flexible in case new ideas come into my head. Anytime I try to pants anything, it fizzles out in a few paragraphs. I need to do the plotting. Gina says, believe it or not, I do both. And yes, Rhonda, I agree. This is my own system and it works for me. Oh, this is going back, but I just Googled Julia Sugarbaker, by the way. Bit disappointed that she doesn't own her own cookie shop.
No. Watch the American show Designing Women and you will not be disappointed at all.
Yeah, it's a great show. Okay, so I just wanted to go next, so it's not just too much of my voice right in a row as the host. So my evolution, like there is none. So the deal is I came to writing because I already had a story in my head with the beginning, a middle, and the end, and I'm just going to write it down and tell it to everybody. So there. Now, that's why I didn't understand how anyone could write 130,000 words and not be done, because I feel like I get story ideas. I don't have to sit down and try to think of what will happen next. But the thing is, I haven't really come up with anything meaty enough to become a novel, is how I felt about it. So as I'm working through writing this novel, I'm figuring it out what I have to do or don't have to do, because it is a whole different thing, because I did sit down and write this story once. But now I want to publish it as a novel. So now I need to figure out, well, if it's interesting as a short story, why would anyone stick around for 50,000 words? And then I have to go and do it to this piece. So I can't plot it. I cannot possibly write a plot for that because I'm shaping a lump of clay or I'm chiseling away at a chunk of marble. I don't know what it's going to be. So I can't try to tell it what to be. And that's how I feel about my novel. My short stories come to me. Here's Charlie's story. Sit down and write it. And I don't have to think about the shattering moment. I just write it. But a novel is a journey and an experience I'm giving to another person. And to me, that's something I have to craft literally as I'm doing it. It's too artsy for me.
So different personalities. It just fits the way that you do it.
Sure.
Right.
And I also have to, going back to the strengths, your number one strategy. And you remember when Becca said you probably have your business plan already strategized in your brain and you don't have to write it down. I bet you have a plot in your head.
Probably.
And that you already have the strategy. So it would be redundant for you to make a board like Jennifer does, maybe.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Because I don't have strategy in my first 5.
Oh, yeah, and it's my number 1.
Yeah. Teresa says, I've always been more of a pantser, but recently I found a good way to plants.
Yes.
For those of you that don't know, plantsing is halfway between plotting and pantsing, where I know where the story has to go, but only plan it out in about thirds.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar to what I do now.
Yeah. So what do you do now, Tina? Because it is your turn to let us know your journey of plotting to pantsing or backwards.
Okay, well, my journey starts when I was like a kid, and I was constantly making up stories in my head.
Yeah.
And so I'm less of a writer than I am a storyteller. Because I have these stories. Like I always used to say, I think in narration. Then I said to myself one time, well, if I could ever just take what's going on in my head and put it down on paper, I could write a book. And so that's what I kind of did when I started. I kind of tried to take what was going on in my head and put it on paper. And then I ended up with something very similar to what Jennifer ended up with, where I had like over 100,000 words of this meandering. Like if my story was a river, it would be like the one that like is going like this, and then you get out of the delta and it like goes and you don't know which one to take to get to the ocean.
Yeah, yeah.
So then I started experimenting. I tried to do what Jennifer does, and I just could not. The creative juices just would not flow for me at all. That didn't work for me. I looked at like a James Patterson's masterclass thing on masterclass.com, where I tried to do it the way he does it. That really didn't help me. So I went through, and I'm a learner, like #1 learner. So I learned all these different methods, and none of them really worked for me until I found Story Genius. And I think the reason it works for me is because to me, it's a perfect blend of plotting and pantsing.
They should give you an affiliate link, Tina.
They should, because I was so happy because I need to think and fantasize. So I need to narrate in my head before I can put it down on paper. Like that's how the storytelling works for me. And so with Story Genius, that's really just fits right into my process that I already have going on, because you kind of develop 5 scenes at a time. And they're cause and effect. You figure out your cause and effect for each scene. And so scene 1 affects scene 2, affects scene 3. And so then once you're done with those 5 scenes, now you can go develop the next 5 scenes, because you have your cause and effect trajectory going. And so I know what my final scene is. I've already written it. And I know where I have to go. But it allows me to do the pantsing part and the plotting part together at the same time.
Interesting.
And I also use software called Plottr, Plottr, to put my scenes in, so like I have a visual of it, and it has all these timelines. It has a timeline at the top for the plot, and then I put one in there called the third rail. So that's
I saw a screenshot you took of that.
Yeah, it's like the underlying theme of the book 2 is like forgiveness and feeling separated from God. So each scene has to touch the third rail to keep the story moving. So I put the third rail in there, and then I have a timeline for each character in the book. And when they're in the scene 1, I would put a card there for that character, and just basically what's going on with the character in that book. And then you can drag and drop it and move it around, and so it's very visual. And I'm very visual, so that like the intersection between using the Story Genius method and the Plottr outline, I feel like things are just running like a well-oiled engine right now.
Yeah, I feel like the conversation could be a totally different one too, about whether or not you do hands-on or do like a digital version of it. I have to do both. I try going to completely digital because I love Scrivener, and I'm able to use Scrivener to plot out, and there's all these note cards, and I'm able to do that. But I do this first, and then I put it on Scrivener. And if I change something, I have to change it in both places, because I like to have it portable with me. But it's something about having this. And I remember when I first moved into this house, I talked about getting rid of these because my office is so tiny, and I just kind of put them off to the side to deal with later. And then I'm so glad I didn't get rid of them, because I pulled even my old ones out to look for something. So it's something I'll have to find a closet somewhere and stuff them in, and I'll have like 100 of them someday, but I keep them. So
I would just like to say something and then get your guys' feedback on this this statement. It's sort of a general sweeping statement. I'd like to get you guys thinking on the topic. Let's say you don't know if you're a plotter or a pantser. Do you think a new writer even needs to worry about that? Or would you encourage them to just start writing today and think about it if they get stuck? So what would your advice be? Determine today whether you should try plotting or pantsing, or write something and then figure it out. Go.
I think they should just start writing, because an outline might just start appearing, or they might find out that they want to pants.
Because I think you write like an outline. Like, Rhonda, you handed me a first draft one time, and I'm like, is this your outline? Like, I think you sitting down to write a first draft is you making an outline. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yep. So what do you guys think?
I think that each person is different. And so what feels good to you, what makes you feel inspired, is what you should do. If you don't know what makes you feel inspired, experiment. Write something to an outline. Maybe write a 10,000 word short story and make a detailed outline first and write that, and then write another one without an outline and see what feels better to you. See what's flowing better.
Agree.
Because
I mean,
we're all individuals.
Yeah. Before Jen gives her answer, I'll sneak in with mine. And my only thing is, if you're a pantser, because like Piper, you say that chart makes my brain melt, and no, I want nothing to do with any. But I mean, you could change into a plotter, but for sure you could just start. Like, if you don't feel any desire to outline your book, it doesn't mean something is wrong with you. And if you feel a driving desire to outline every bit of your book, that does not mean something is wrong with you. That's what I'm going to say.
Right.
Jen, what do you think?
Yeah, as you guys are all talking, I'm trying to decide, like, if someone could show up in the past and tell me, stop what you're doing and plot this out, would that have been a good thing? Or did I need to experience that, writing all of that out so that I could find who I was? So I guess I'm going to be kind of like Tina, like, go ahead and start writing. But while you're writing in your free time, research, like, find out about different story structure, read some of these books, look at Story Genius. There's some great advice in our chat today for different processes you can use. So if you are listening, please go back to YouTube and watch and read through our chat.
We love our chats.
We're the best chatters in the world. And I can't share everything right now because we're running out of time. But so that's what I would say. Yeah, start writing, get some Post-it notes, put them on a wall somewhere, and learn. I would say that it's all about learning too. So
yeah, and don't feel like you have to mimic someone else's journey. Any other last words on plotting versus pantsing before we go, ladies?
I think that's it.
Tina, would you define for us in like one sentence the difference between a storyteller and a writer?
Well, a story, like, I'm good at telling stories. The writing is more of a struggle for me. So, like, I really need an editor. When I'm done.
You can tell a story, but a writer is someone who knows the grammar and the plot.
Yeah, that's kind of,
that sort of thing.
Got it.
And I would just say, like, just like Jamie said, that writing is very subjective. And that's the whole reason why we all want to talk about our own processes, because we are all four very different people and we are all four published. So do you.
That's right. All right. So, Jason's here. Hi, Jason. Oh, we pick on Jason when he doesn't come. So I got to say, hi, Jason. He came. He said it's weird because there are random spots he wants to plot out and others that plotting just sounds wrong to me. Well, Jason, then that is why you are in charge of writing that book, right?
And Gina agrees with you, Tina. She says her too.
Yep. Gina and Tina agreeing and rhyming. Okay, so now it's time for the feeding of the backs, which is a lot of people's favorite part. What this is we just wrote a short story, y'all. What? Yes. Before we came live and talked to you guys, we sprinted. We set a timer for 15 minutes and we wrote a short story. Yes, before we came on live to do a podcast. And we didn't have any time to edit it. So every time we share these, we are only positive because we didn't take any time to edit these works. So Jennifer, I like to pick on you when I'm the host, and you can tell us what was our prompt, and then you can share your story.
I'd just like to add that we all pantsed this.
Yes. Which happens. So I guess that's a really good point, Tina, because I will often sprint my chapters. So I might know that, like, let's see.
Oh, yeah, Jen.
Sarah throws herself at the professor. That's the very first chapter of my book that comes out this fall. Well, how is she doing that? Where are they? Like, let's find out. So,
well, sometimes you sprint them on accident. Like, your sprint turns out to be something that fills a hole on your outline.
Like today.
Yeah. Oh,
maybe.
That's
maybe.
exciting. All right.
So it's not even an exciting sprint, but I think that it's going to help me transition into a part that I needed to. I have a character that a sub character, side character that their arc needs to. He needs to be not such a jerk by the end. There needs to be some healing there. So we'll see if this works.
Okay. Well, so you want Rhonda to not like him in the beginning.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And our sprint prompt today was, don't you think we need a plan? If you are listening to this or watching this, we send this out in our email, our newsletter every week, an hour before we go live so that you guys can all join us. It's also all over our social media. If you do the sprint, set your clock for 15 minutes, do it with us, and then share it so that we can share the love too. We would love to see it and share with all of our other followers.
I miss seeing, like, some people used to do the sprints on the regular. I won't name names because I'm always picking on people. But the thing is, I liked to read them and I miss them. And it'd be the one time a week that someone's nagging you to write. So let it be Fridays.
Agreed. Okay, here's my sprint. And the prompt today was, don't you think we need a plan? And ladies and gentlemen, it was in quote marks, which means you have to use it in your writing. Have to. Otherwise, we're going to show up. Okay.
Julia Sugarbaker's coming for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. Don't you think we need a plan? No, let's just wing it. Ryan had never in his life been one to wing it. I don't think this is a good idea. Marjorie laughed. It'll be fine. Just pretend that you don't find me repulsive. We'll play the rest by ear. Looking at Marjorie in her dark purple dress, nearly the same color as the outfit she wore to the lawyer's office, Ryan had a difficult time imagining being repulsed by anything to do with his new wife. So, not repulsive. Check. But then what? He didn't have time to worry about their lack of plan for long because the very next minute, his father walked through the door, alone. Good morning, Frank, Marjorie said pleasantly. Where's Tina? Frank looked confused. Was I supposed to bring her? Ryan side-eyed Marjorie and saw it. Her mouth dropped open and her eyes grew wide. Then, as he expected, her head cocked slightly. Well, I don't know, Frank, she said with his father's name with an exaggerated snark. Why would you need to bring your wife on a double date? Frank Hodges stared back at his daughter-in-law, expressionless. His lack of reaction to her feisty retort did little to deter her from continuing. Ryan sighed. They should have had a plan. You really are a piece of work. You know that? I am trying really hard, I might add, to be civil to you, but you wouldn't know how to be civil to me, to Ryan, to your wife, for crying out loud, that I don't know why I bother. You know what? You can just take your smug attitude and stuff it up your, sorry I'm late. Everyone turned to see Tina Hodges weave her way through the crowded foyer of the restaurant. There was an accident on Michigan Ave. She placed a kiss on Frank's cheek. Marjorie was silenced, an event Ryan had yet to witness. It was Ryan who broke the silence. You, he said to his dad, you just made a joke, didn't you? I have the ability. I've never seen you exercise that ability. You were never married to that one, Frank said, nodding in Marjorie's direction, the corner of his lip twitching. You don't want to start with me, she said quietly. All eyes widened as they looked at Marjorie. Because I can prank better than anyone, she said, the corner of her lip twitching. You have been forewarned. 3,
How
2,
fun.
1.
I love that.
How fun. Yay.
Snark is my favorite thing.
There.
And now he's going to be in favor of them staying together, right? Like, is he going to be a secret ally? You know what I mean? Because it's a marriage of convenience trope, right? Oh,
yes,
he doesn't know.
But he doesn't know it's a marriage of convenience. Aww. He's the problem. He is the problem, but so yes, but like there needs to be like a redemption there in the relationship between he and Ryan, but it's going to have to like start slowly. Like we have to start to see that this guy isn't completely evil because he appears that way for sure. So
well, here's Piper saying she loves pranks, and Gigi giving you characters are so interesting, and she loved it. Thanks. Oh, Gigi, one of our cheerleaders. Yeah, Jason said he sprinted.
His sprint made him laugh. I want to laugh.
Where did he put it? Like, Jason, you need to let us know where you're putting your sprint. I think he used to put him on the Facebook, but see, nobody sees it there. Does he have his own Facebook?
The best thing to do is
the transatlantic thing. He should post them in that transatlantic group. Someone started a group, and a lot of the people who are in the chat, I think it was Shell. And so it's called Transatlantic Writing Buddies, and it's become pretty active. And so maybe we should encourage people to post their sprints over there. That would get a pretty good audience of people who know what's going on anyway.
Right. Do a screenshot, and you can share it on any social media as long as you tag us, and then we can reshare it too. So
sure. Yeah. Okay. And your characters are really funny.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Jason. I appreciate that.
All righty, Rhonda. What'd you write for us with this amazing prompt that is in quotes?
Well, here's an example of a plotter who didn't plot. Marcy was all I could squeak out once my breath returned. The panic in my voice must have shocked her because she dropped the wish she'd been holding and it fell to the floor, bouncing off her knee, it bounced off the cupboard, onto her sock, and finally rested on the floor with a muffled clatter. Is this my kitchen? Did I just wake up from a nightmare? This kitchen looks like a Mother's Day morning trope with pots, pans, food packaging, broken eggshells. Our eyes, which had locked together at the moment of my gasp, followed the path left by the chocolate-covered tool. Cool, Marcy squealed with glee. Look at the pattern. Take a picture. She held out her leg so I could see the equidistant brown stripes on her yoga pant leg, then pointed her foot to inspect the pattern the whisk left there. That one's not as good. What's going on in this kitchen? I sputtered. I pushed the cans and boxes farther back on the countertop and leaned there to catch my breath. How long have you been in here? I thought you were going to wait for me. Well, I just wanted to get started. Her eyes grew huge and glistened. Her little lip quivered, and I felt bad instantly. Don't you think we need a plan? The end.
Aww.
What do you not like about that? That is so great.
Is it just because you don't know where you're ever going to use it? Because that's how I feel sometimes when I write something that's like good, but I don't have a plan for it. Is that what you're feeling or no?
No, I didn't know where I was going with it, so I wasn't sure like what their attitudes were and what the scene looked like. So I was just kind of working that out as I was typing.
Well, let me just say then that's beautiful and wonderful, because then what you're doing is you're doing your process right before our very eyes. So I love hearing it, Rhonda, because when you come to us with something that you've polished or whatever, it's so wonderful. So it's neat to see that you get down all of this stuff. Like I'm getting down the environment. She sees this kitchen. She sees she's this kind of a person who's playful, right? Because there's patterns on the yoga. Like you're exploring while you're writing.
Exactly.
So I love hearing your sprints. I mean, you think that they're not useful, but they completely are, because you are developing this thing that you have about knowing your characters while you're sprinting. So you see you're building muscles you don't even realize. And that's why writing every day is good for you, even if you don't see the point in it, is because you're growing that muscle every time you put your fingers on the keyboard. It's great.
Well,
My favorite line was the stripes on her yoga pants made from the whisk with chocolate.
Yeah.
I was there.
And that pattern on that part wasn't as interesting as the pattern on this part.
Right.
Yeah. So you came up with that. That's what that sprint is for, girl. So you can learn to write like that. Good stuff.
I love the Mother's Day morning kitchen trope.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of meta because you're a writer talking about tropes. That was great. Yeah.
It was great. Gigi says, Rhonda, that was sweet. I could see the kitchen. That was great.
Oh, thank you. Literally all I was trying to do was save time so I could get some more words in.
All right. So I'll read mine so it's not so much talky. And here we go. She threw her hands up and sighed. I don't know how we're going to get anything done. At this pace, we're going to be here until at least next Friday. Jan will have to put down a deposit on a new place without getting her security deposit back on this one. Where is that money supposed to come from, I ask you? Harold did not know what to say. He never knew what to say when Cheryl got like this. Usually, it was enough to keep busy with the push broom until she got it all out. Kind of like a boil that needed draining, Harold reckoned. We still got an entire carload in the back bedroom to get out of here, and Billy isn't due back with the pickup for another. She checked her watch, or whatever it was she'd started wearing instead of a watch. Last time Harold paid any attention, it was some newfangled contraption that insisted neither he nor Cheryl was getting enough sleep. Ironically, the blasted thing also insisted he and Cheryl were not getting enough activity. 45 minutes! Ain't it just like these two not to know what's going on? Especially on a day like this, Harold thought. Go figure, Harold said. Is that all you have to say? Go figure? Cheryl made an annoyed sound with her mouth and rolled her eyes. Harold didn't even bother to roll his back. He knew it wouldn't get him to any place good. He just went back to sweeping while she put her usual tear about how all he ever says is go figure. She was just winding up the inventory of Harold's other failings when Billy himself pulled up with the truck, some 30 minutes sooner than he was expected. On the right front quarter panel was an enormous dent, evidence of a close encounter of the elephine kind. Normally, this would not be an issue. After all, Cheryl was forgiving, and the deer were plentiful this time of year. But considering the amount of stress she was under at the moment, the last thing Cheryl was going to want to discover was an insurance deductible in her very near future. This ought to be good, Harold thought, watching the disheveled young man, who obviously hadn't been home to shower or change since leaving the night before, stumble out of the cab. He shook his head and quietly said, "Go figure." "Hey, baby," Billy said, loping his way easily across the hardwood floor to snake a lanky limb around the waist of his wife and business partner. "How are we doing around here?" "It's a disaster, obviously." Cheryl did not even look up from her phone, though Billy nuzzled her neck in his best-to-date attempt to get her mind off work. "Come on, Billy. Don't you think we need a plan?" she said, shaking him off and striding over to the window to peek out at the pickup. Her first glance was casual, but then she saw it. "Did you hit something?" The end.
Oh, so good.
Jamie, I love it when your characters go introspective. And I love the story from Harold's perspective. I love the way he looks at the world. And that first line where you said that he usually just sweeps until she gets over her tantrum or whatever. I love that.
What else can you do?
I feel like I am Harold. Because I will, when my husband's like on one of his little things where he's, upset about something, I will just go do something else till he's done. And I don't say what that guy says. I say whatever. That's my go-to. Whatever.
Piper feels him too. She says, "LOL, it wouldn't get him to any place good. I feel that, Harold."
Yep.
Shell says, "Poor Harold can't even roll his eyes."
Poor Harold indeed. Although
Jason
Harold,
says, that was good, Jamie.
Oh, thanks, guys. I appreciate that. All righty, Bambina. What do you got for us from this amazing prompt?
Okay, well, if there was going to be a title, it would be called "Flying by the Seat of Your Pants." Joey shook his hand to dislodge the duct tape from his fingers. His little sister Emma stood with her arms out and a terrified look on her face. The piece of cardboard he'd been attaching hung precariously from her left arm. "This duct tape ain't doing the job," he told Emma. "I'm going to have to find some wire." "But my arms are getting tired," Emma whined. "Just a little bit longer. Hang on to the tree branch if you want to." Joey ran into the shed and began rummaging through the mountain of what to anybody else would look like junk. But in Joey's mind, they were treasures. The knobs from their old stove Daddy had put to the curb reminded him of his childhood. There were washers and ball bearings, nuts and screws, and all manner of shiny silver things that in Joey's mind made him rich as a king. There were even some old tires leaning on the wall. Sometimes Joey would use the pocket knife Uncle Jack gave him on his birthday to cut off chunks of rubber to be used in his inventions. There were old radios and toasters, and the VCR Mama had called prehistoric and sent him to take to the curb.
Mm-hmm.
A dark shadow blocked the doorway of the shed, and Joey turned to find Alice from next door standing in it. "What you doing?" she asked. "I'm making wings, so Emma can fly," Joey replied. Alice looked over at Emma. "With cardboard?"
Mm-hmm.
"Well, yeah, but I need some wire to attach it better." "Are your wings the right shape? They seem awfully square." "What's wrong with that?" "Well, are they aerodynamic?" "What? I don't even know what aero whatever means. I just know if birds can do it, we ought to be able to do it."
Uh-oh.
"I don't know," Alice said. "Look, why are you here trying to rain on my circus anyway?" Joey asked. "I'm an inventor. That's what I do." "You're in the first grade," Alice said indignantly. "So what?" "Well, I don't know. If you're going to make Alice jump off the roof or whatever, don't you think you need a better plan?" Alice began to wail. "My arms hurt. I can only hold on to up the branch with one hand at a time, and I gotta pee." Joey threw his arms up in the air. "Fine. I don't know how a man's supposed to get anything done with so many women around anyway."
Yay. Aw, poor Joey.
That was so good.
Very good.
So great.
Tina, would you please write a story with first grade protagonist? Please. That was so good. I loved it.
Okay. There's no punctuation in my sprint because I was running out of time. And I had all this dialogue, and I'm like, "Quote marks, be gone."
That's so great. Piper says that was so good. Yeah, laughter, lots of laughter in the chat. Gigi said Tina's so good.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
awesome. Oh, Maria says she's still getting over something on Facebook about Tina's husband putting Frosted Flakes in his stew or something. Okay, it was goulash. Gross. Which, if you don't know, okay, Tina, what is just the basics of your goulash? It's usually noodles and like tomato sauce.
Before you say anything, Jason says it's actually a lot better.
No, Jason. No, Jason.
Go ahead.
Say you didn't try it. Please say you didn't try it. Goulash is like spaghetti with macaroni. So like hamburger, macaroni, tomato sauce, some Worcestershire sauce, onions, and green peppers. And it's like you eat it in a bowl.
And he put Frosted Flakes on it. Oh,
he put Frosted Flakes in the bowl, and then he poured the goulash over the top.
Are you serious?
And then he ate it, and the whole time talking about how good it was and how it made the goulash sweet. And like, you know how cornflakes kind of get mushy in milk, like they are mushy.
American chop suey is what Piper calls goulash.
Other people have heard of this?
Yes, on the East
not
Coast.
The cornflakes, Rhonda. No. Just the goulash.
Frosted Flakes, I have to say. It was Frosted Flakes.
So on the East Coast, when I lived there, I was dating a guy, and he's like, "You've never had American chop suey?" I'm like, "No, I'm gonna make it for you." I was all excited. He's gonna make me this meal. I go over there, and it was goulash, and I'm like, "Dude, it's goulash. It's canned tomatoes, hamburger meat, and noodles." Like, he was all proud of himself. So.
You ate Frosted Flakes on goulash before it was cool. Like, I'm really having a hard time believing that. I think Jason doesn't understand. Jason, type in the chat. Okay, so Maria says, I thought goulash was a Hungarian. Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Well,
this is the Americanized version. Like everything else, we take something from another culture and we Americanize it.
I think that's a Midwest word. There's a lot of like German, Polish people, maybe. It's something that carried over from there. I don't know.
It has paprika in it.
Teresa says, to be fair, I had brown sugar to spaghetti sauce. Me too, 100%.
Sugar can go in sauce. I don't have a normal how to make it.
I add carrots to my spaghetti sauce to sweeten it.
Yeah.
Well, whatever, Bob. We all agree that you are different than us, but we love you anyway.
There were some people in there that like was totally supporting him.
And then there are some people who blocked him. No, just kidding. Okay. So listen, like, we're supposed to go around now and talk about what's next for the host. So between now and next Friday, what are you up to, Rhonda?
Editing.
For now, what is? Please tell us the title. Do you have a title of the book? Like, we want to start getting excited about this book. So tell us about it. Did she freeze?
Oh, it looks like she did.
Oh no. I'm sure it's riveting. She'll tell us when she comes back. Jen, what's next?
Well, my what's next is I was typing in the chat.
Sure.
Like I said before, I am reverse engineering my old book so that I can take them and find out what the problem is with the book I'm working on. It just feels empty. And even though like I'm hitting all the marks, there's something wrong. And I think I've already uncovered some of it. And so it all 100% has to do with character arc. My characters, it's very important to me that there is a transformation, a spiritual transformation in my characters. And without that, I don't feel like my books are it's just not what I want. So, so that's what I'm doing this week is I'm going to be doing that. And I have to go back into book 3 that is coming out soon. I got to give it chapter titles. Like there's the chapter titles are right now like in the garden, which that one's not too bad. Or to be things like confronting the boys at the store. That's not a chapter title. That was so I wouldn't forget what was in that chapter. So I got to go through and make some like really cute kind of like Jennifer Carl Tong-ish chapter titles. And that's
and I would like for you to plug both your website and your newsletter because they get a really cool free ebook when they subscribe, don't they? Thanks. So go ahead and tell everybody where they can learn more about what you write.
JenniferCarlTong.net. You can go there and I'm a .com. Jennifer Carl Tong, 2 L's, 1 N in Jennifer, 2 L's in Carl, JenniferCarlTong.com. Sign up for my newsletter and you get my first book, Searching for Anna, for free. It's a fairly large novella.
It's wonderful.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
It's a beautiful, gorgeous cover. It's well edited. It's a wonderful example of independently published Christian historical romance. So you can feel free to promote it all around because it's not going to embarrass you, but it has all the fun of romance. So go get it.
I appreciate that. Piper's What's Next? Rewatch launch strategies and figure out what I'm going to do. Also write more about
the launch. We got to talk about launch.
Yeah, I'm also doing that this week too. So Maria's What's Next is going to carry on proofreading of her third historical fiction novel. Hope to submit by the end of March. Writing more on the fourth novel, and I'm also going to vaguely start thinking about April campaign. Oh, yeah, we probably should do that. Teresa says, what's up? More editing. Going to keep doing my morning sprints, office hours through March. Jason, my what's up? Going through the notes from my consultation I had yesterday for my book. I was able to get a firm foundation for my magic system. Also starting back to writing with these ideas.
Oh, that's great.
Shell says, what's next? Start plotting my March short story. I think I might give myself 2 months for the next story instead of one, so I can take extra time planning.
Whatever you need, yeah.
And then Gina says, I need to get back into writing book 3, half done, now that book 2 is about to release.
Well, yeah, because you want to write the next one when you're finished. Tina, what's next for you?
Well, the story is flowing, and so I'm going to keep writing it. Also, I'm going to go into Transatlantic Writing Buddies, and I'm going to talk about my paid promo stacking that I did last week that led to my book timing in the stats, and tell them how I did that. So, because a couple of people had asked in the chat that they wanted to know. And so if you're instead of picking up podcast time, I'll put it in the Transatlantic Writing Buddies Facebook group.
Yeah, go join it if you're not in there. That's awesome, Tina. And people can get a newsletter from you as well. Yep. Where do they go to sign up for your newsletter?
ChristinaCatane.com. And I also have a fun little bar on there, progress bar. It has like stripes and stuff. And every day when I write, I put my word count in it, and it just keeps climbing.
That's
so
awesome.
If you want to watch paint dry, just go over there.
Speaking of watching paint dry, Piper says, excellent, Tina. I need to learn. Yeah. My what's next is to just keep doing with the edits. And so it kind of ties into my own personal little plug. I went ahead and shared for my members only on my Buy Me a Coffee an excerpt of my book that is edited, and then the actual text before I got my editing hands onto it, so people can maybe see why it's taking me so long to get through this. I'll give you a hint. The original sample is 244 words, and the final output is over 800 words. And so you can maybe go see dramatically the difference in what I start with and what I end with, and why I'm such a turtle when it comes to editing. But sorry, that's for members only. Buy Me a Coffee /JR Nichols, but there's lots of stuff you can read for free over there if you're not into throwing me a $5, or you can even pay $1 and read one of my short stories. So if you like anything I do over here, JR Nichols over at Buy Me a Coffee. And I think that's probably it for this week. What do you ladies think?
I messaged Rhonda's chatting in the chat, but
she said earlier that her internet was down.
I see.
So she's probably on her phone.
I think she's just trying to make us all be teased. Like, tell us about your book, Rhonda.
Cliffhanger.
Yeah, tell us about your book, Rhonda. Well, it's right.
She said my internet is down. Cliffhanger. That's what she said earlier.
Yeah, we'll have to find out about it next week. All right. Do we have anything else to say about plotting versus pantsing? Okay, so in that case, this concludes this episode of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. Until next week, may your pen be prolific, may your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ. Bye now.
Bye, everyone.